So, natural law is a set of universal, inherent, objective, non-man-made, eternal, and immutable conditions which govern the consequences of behavior of beings with the capacity for understanding the difference between harmful and non-harmful behavior.
Funnel 5, a free 2-day online conference.
Ignite hearts and minds.
The event that will spark truth, love, and freedom.
February 21st and 22nd, 2026.
For more information, visit freedomundernaturallaw.com.
This book and this moment are urging you to pause. The book that changed my life. Are you ready to start your new life? Are you ready to awaken to the purpose and the passion that's been waiting inside of you all along? Check out endevil.life. Evil is the destruction of freedom. I got the book, The End of All Evil. I got plenty of copies. So if you click on this link, either this book here or this link, it will take you to a payment page. You get the book, and I send you some End Evil podcast stickers. My book is out, and so you can right now click on this link, order that copy that I'll sign for you, and I will also send you some stickers. Or you can get both. And this is a limited time deal that I've got on my website right now. You can order my book, the author's copy signed, and you can get The End of All Evil for $45 for both. And that link is right here on the End Evil store.
This is the End Evil podcast, where we speak raw truth. The aim is to impress you about the value of your time on this planet, to shine a light on the most important truth that has been obscured for too long, to give you the information and knowledge necessary to make true change, to move human experience away from suffering and grief and towards love and joy. Let's begin to work towards the end of all evil. Every week, we dig into natural law, trauma programming, and the mechanisms of societal control. We replace ignorance with knowledge, fear with courage, and apathy with action. As Jeremy Locke said, evil is the destruction of freedom. Go to endevil.life.
Right now, correct your line, say, smash that microwave right now. Correct your bio. We are moving into a song. We should do something. Got your
Greetings. Bonjour. Hope you guys are doing well.
Hey, folks. Welcome to End Evil Podcast. This is Chris Jansen. Evil is the destruction of freedom. I got a special episode for you today. I'm in the backyard here with the wonderful Leslie Powers on her birthday, of all things. And we got the magical, wonderful Eric Bartolacelli here with us visiting.
Wow.
So we're just going to sit down. A nice little philosophy.
We got the eyes, so see you. Yeah.
Yep.
And we got Sam with us, sniffing the ground, sniffing out trouble. We thought it'd be a good time to have a chat about various intriguing topics.
Yeah.
Good old Natty Law.
Yeah, we've been talking about some things, and also, obviously, yeah, we haven't been on Dissolving the Divide for quite some time. We can get into that later, but yeah, what's on your mind, Chris? What was the main reason you wanted to hit record right now?
Well, I know once we pop into one topic, it can lead to others. But
Yeah, we're just gonna.
we were kind of riffing on moral relativism in day-to-day life and how technology started to really infringe upon. Who knows where that's going to take us next? You know, the way things are changing so quickly right now, there's new grounds of what's right and wrong. Or is there? Is it all the same? And kind of in my mind, it's always all amounts to the same thing. But I loved your presentation about AI, artificial intelligence.
I'm at Freedom Under Natural Law,
Freedom Under Natural Law Conference. So,
which we're preparing for that 5th one coming up.
February 20th and 21st.
and it's online, so we're using the technology of online, the technology of our recording devices. But now that we're getting into starting to use a little bit of AI technology here and there, it brings up these questionable thoughts and feelings on how much should we be using that and how ethical is it?
So I'll say a couple of things about the technology is I think that we've seen the trend, right? That more and more people are spending more time on their phones, online, all matters of business is connected somehow to your phone. So if you don't have a phone, you can't do your second, that authentication things that are being required. There's all these ways that are technologies forcing us to interact between two objects, technical objects like your computer and your phone at the same time. And then the whole password nightmare, right? So it's like whether you like it or not, you end up getting stuck spending an inordinate amount of time fucking around online. And it adds, to me, it adds a whole level of agitation and frustration because it's pulling me away from being really present in my home with my family. You know, it adds it taxes me, right? So my patience goes down, and it's just pulling us away more and more from real life interactions, which I think is the answer. I think we need to pull away from so much of the online and go into in-person forums and community building activities.
Yeah, and I'll just share something because I mentioned this to you. It was like yesterday, Leslie, on regards to just like the youth and this and that, and your observations, because I've kind of noticed this as well, and just like thought about it, and it kind of clicked of how the online, sensation of all this instant information or instant gratification, especially catered towards the younger generation, can have people in real life feeling that frustration just based off of little impatience of how it's not that instant gratification that you're getting on a digital scale, but it's not the same in real life and stuff. And so, and also with like conversations, like they don't get that instant gratification from getting their yes man, yes woman, or their blue thumbs and all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's just like things that cross my mind on that stuff, and yeah.
I think it's really true that people want immediate answers. They text you, they think you should be online at that moment and answer back. They get offended if it says it's read, but they don't not answered. There's all sorts of assumptions and arguments that I think occur over that desire for instant gratification. Yeah. with you, Chris?
I was trying to think about where, the line of discernment of when something becomes evil, when something becomes a form of stealing, right? Like lies is one of those ones that can be, people talk about white lies, right? Like, we've all told various things that aren't 100% honest for, sometimes it even seems like a possibly good reason you might tell something that's a bit of a lie.
I call it sick, but you're really not sick.
Right. Well, that's a lightweight one, it seems like. But maybe even protect someone's feelings, or someone's going to have a mental breakdown if you say something, so why even say it, even though you feel like maybe you should. Right? There's obviously a spectrum of worse and way worse things we can do out there. And okay, in terms of interacting with the internet or the changing technology as it becomes now AI, right? Where, for instance, if I ask AI to make an image for me, which is something I do quite a bit, it might go out there and grab this and that from all kinds of other art. And is it cheating? Is it stealing? If you're taking elements of other people's stuff and merging them into a new thing, well, all music is that. All art is borrowing to a certain extent. That's not you doing it. It's this sort of
non-human entity.
Right, this other thing that's doing it. This brain that we've created, which is a computer essentially. It's a self-thinking machine.
It's like a database of the accumulation of thoughts and knowledge. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's worth telling the truth. Is it?
Right, you could be deceived. Lots of people could be deceived. Right? And this made up mind, this developing of thought process that we call AI. But at what point does it become evil? The very idea of it, we can think of all kinds of early versions. What do you think, Derek? Not big that, but I think the same thing.
I think that, I think that he's asking about at what point does it become evil, right? And the thought that came to my mind was about the coercion. There's a certain coerciveness going on around narrowing our choices to get from A to point A to point B, having these certain automated structures. Like just calling AAA the other day, they don't want me to talk to a person. They want me to talk to a robot. And it's very detached and impersonal, right? And is that evil? I mean, it is in a sense. It's a slow burning coercion of taking away my choice, my ability to interact with other humans, right? And if you don't have, like if you don't have a credit card, if you want to pay for a hotel and you want to pay with cash, you can't pay with cash.
Yeah, they make you do like a $200 or $400
right.
cash.
So you could have already paid for the room and then be denied access to it because you don't have a credit card to there's all sorts of subtle ways that we're being coerced to force and being forced to use technology.
There's usually a workaround if you push, but it seems like it's gotten harder.
It's gotten harder. And it's and then there's consequences to that, right? And the consequences to that could be harming people, but it's like those entities themselves don't care. They're not acting with the idea that this policy is a moral one. It's that this is just our policy. We have reasons for it. And sorry if you end up in the streets and, get murdered.
It's like care isn't programmed into these systems. And it's questionable whether care can be programmed.
These systems are for profit a lot of times. I was just going over my mind, thinking about, AAA, for example, from a business perspective, they're looking to, cut down costs in certain ways. So the automated teleprompter thing, whatever, especially initially, instead of having like an operator and all that stuff, and like having like 1,800 operators across the nation and all that stuff. So I get that to a degree, but at the same time, businesses do pay attention, especially in America, to customer service. And, a lot of people don't like this automated crap and like the digital dialing maze that we got to go through with our fingers to like, oh yeah, well, this number, okay, and this and that. Like if we talked to an operator, it would have been done like a lot sooner and this and that, a lot less annoying.
You know, something a little bit of an exception. You know, it's telling you to push this for push number 1 if this is your issue, push number 2 if this is your issue. You're like, well, my issue's not on that list of numbers, so I'm over here just yelling, operator, give me person, hitting 0 over and over. Because it's like, all those numbers don't even address what I want to talk about.
Right.
And
sometimes the links they send you don't work, and it's you can get tangled up in wasting time. And to me, that is
they don't care about
they're stealing my time because my time is valuable, and my time is not being considered. You know, and that's part of the frustration. It's what feels very wrong about a lot of it, and it's.
Yeah, going back to the question, is it wrong or like coercive really just because a business wants to change some of the way it functions and interacts with its customers and this and that?
Not necessarily.
Yeah. So, but at the same time, it's like we see the patterns of things shifting towards more of the digitization and automation and all these things, right?
No,
it's not by coincidence.
Yeah.
And it's not.
There's a certain
always why I save money about it either.
There's a certain spirit of thievery in my mind of the magic of life.
Yeah.
We keep veering more to the artificial and man-made is one thing, but you know, when everything around us becomes man-made products, and that's all we're dealing in day to day, we've somehow become completely disconnected from non-man-made things. And there's so much magic and communication of realization of what is divine and what is beautiful and what is true law that is built into that system of our interaction with the natural environment systems. It's so interrupted at this point, from everything from the weather to how you get your food to how hot or cold it is and the structures you're living in, when the sun's hitting your face and what wavelengths of light at what times of day, all these factors are really truncating your ability to connect with the natural flow, and that is a robbery. For when you think about generations of children being born basically in a rat fucking maze,
indoors with technology,
what God and the universe fucking created as the learning environment.
The other piece is the question is, what is the effect on humans, especially children, of interacting mostly with machines? And so they took these monkeys that were newborn baby monkeys, and they had one group in the experiment that they took away the mother, but they just put like a non-animate feeding source. And the animals that didn't have the mother, the body, the comfort, the presence, the touch, they were a failure to thrive, no matter how much food they had. They were emotionally, physically, and psychologically being thwarted in their development. So I think that there's going to be a long, slow impact to the negative around our social, emotional, and psychological health because of the disconnection from other human beings. Because we need to be interacting with other human beings in order to learn how to, well, there's all sorts of, I think, connections energetically and, emotionally, socially that are very important to our mind, body, and spirit. It isn't easy to measure sometimes. But then there's also the communication skills, conflict resolution skills, the problem solving skills, the writing skills, all of the skills that now are being taken away from humans.
The humility skills.
Yeah. And so where are we going to be left?
Humility will start with Hume.
Oh, that's a new Hugh to be that looked up Hume. I bet you has to do with dirt.
And who is that? Who's responsible? Who's responsible for this? For where this goes.
Well, that was my other question that was occurring to me is like, let's say you do say that, okay, the way things are going is too far, too gone. It's getting unethical, even even evil at certain aspects when you consider where AI is going to go in its natural progression without a conscience creating this fake being. It's like creating a Frankenstein. So let's say you do reject that idea and concept and you don't want to go with the rest of society. How would you even fight it? Because so many things that we do already tie us in, like having to have certain licenses or insurance or things just to operate. It's kind of like that AI is going to be integrated in all those things within a short amount of time from where we're at. How would you even, I guess just like anything else we do, progressively any way you can, how would you even resist the rise of technology, at this point, even if you did disagree with that ethic?
Well, Derek Rose talks about that in his conscious resistance work, and he has strategies around that, around growing our own food, unschooling or disconnecting from the school system, finding alternatives to banks and the money system, maybe crypto, accounts and things like that. Really, there's certain temptations around, conveniences. And it's very hard to work around and be super strict to say no to certain things. But the more we say no to, the less we're feeding the beast, the more we're able to hold on to an alternative way of life that's quickly becoming extinct by using cash. Mm-hmm.
I'll mind if I share a story real quick? I got a haircut for the first time in like 3 years. I've been cutting my hair myself. I go to this one place, there's some cool Vietnamese one, and I was chatting with her. It was just like such a free flow. Like that day whisked away so magically. And just chatting with her for it felt like 5 minutes. And like my hair was already done. I'm like, wait, we're done already? Like, what the hell? But one of the things we talked about was, I mentioned something about, because she's like, oh, like, you're trying to take out jobs from us, you cut your own hair. Because I told her, like, yeah, and this is the first time, the last time I had my hair cut, it was with you guys, several years ago and all that stuff. Anyways, that kind of segued into, a topic of like AI. So I saw a commercial like the other day, previously of them talking about like, AI can't take this job. AI can't do this, And so I was like, reiterating that to her, and it's like, hey, I can't do your job, so don't worry about me, because I still want to respect, that human interaction. It's like cool to just like talk to someone and stuff. And she lived in Italy, I'm in France, and so it's like political dance, and I think
I was talking to somebody the other day about his prediction of the AI, and he said, well, any job that isn't involve your physical body, like you're lifting, moving, cutting, is at risk of being lost to the AI. And I'm a
even those jobs, because
robots.
Look at the technology that already exists.
Yeah. So, but even like as a psychotherapist, right now, people are turning to AI to be like therapists, especially when they can't afford going to get therapy. They're just talking to like a being identity. Yeah. And and they get, it's not all bad, because they are getting, educated feedback and learning about themselves. And it's available any time of the day at night, They have to wait till their appointment time. But I will say that you could do that, but you're still going to miss something from the actual human, because those machines, they can't read all of your, I don't know. I think there's going to be a limitation that's ultimately going to be felt.
Totally, yeah. People are going to all of a sudden like, oh, wait, there's things that are missing that human element. Like they feel alienated all of a sudden sometimes. So it'll click, and then they're like, want to return back to some of the old ways.
You can't be really satisfied in a material.
I don't know.
It's like I would like to read maybe the original book. I don't even know the author who did the original book, Frankenstein, right? I've seen a lot of the dramatizations. I've seen plays built on the Frankenstein, and some old movie. There's probably more than one. I'm sure there are.
The original book is available.
It would be good to listen to, because I feel like it's a very good allegory for what we kind of all know deep down is the truth. It's like the same thing in Jurassic Park, right? You create a monster, you create a situation where a monster can grow out of control and it turns into this thing that eats you, you know, like, or even the Little Shop of Horrors, you know, this plant that you're feeding humans to. It starts with little drops of blood, you know, you're giving up your essence of your body to this thing, you know, it's sucking your blood, and then pretty soon you got to feed it other beings. And it's the same thing with a corporation. It's the same thing with a lot of things we use. I've even thought about simple things as laundry machines and dryers and dishwashers. Like, there was this whole phenomenon in the early 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever years when they were like, oh, we're going to have time-saving devices. And you guys don't have to work so much, right? But then we have to work more, earn the money to get the time-saving devices, to get the power the house, to run all the time-saving devices, and that costs all the time. Otherwise, that we would have just been hanging out outside, washing our clothes in the freaking river together, and we would have been chatting and all this stuff.
Very fulfilled. Yeah.
Instead, we're not connected to nature, and
our nervous system.
We're like on a whip and a chain and carrying our ball around, trying to make enough money to pay for all these time-saving devices.
Yeah.
But we see people together in laundromats, but they're not like chatting it up because they're just on their phone, like, you know what I mean? So
I was just going to say, you know, the lifestyle that this is leading us to is dysregulating in our nervous system, and it's also we're exposed to all of these electronic frequencies, EMFs, and often are inside more, or we're even like the way your spine changes by looking down at your phone. Like, chiropractors hate that. There's so many like subtle impacts that are changing the human being in a way. If we don't, they can take us even more away from being human fully if we're not careful. So it's like, how do we have to combat that by putting our feet in the grass and interacting with nature, like you were saying, and interacting with humans and going inward for our answers.
All right, we're going to continue our conversation from earlier. We were talking about AI, technology, morality, and how that all weaves together. And we had some device trouble running out of batteries and such, or storage space, something like that.
On two devices.
Yeah, multiple times.
We lost some significant portion of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're still with a little bit of technological trouble. So, which brings to mind the next question I was going to put before. Come sit down, Jared. No. One last thing.
What's not technical is this book written by Chris, published this year. Check it out, yeah.
Yeah. Book that changed my life.
Thank you so much for getting me, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Good book to check out on this topic.
I'm just using it. So hold my notes.
So technology, AI, instead of, we can just go on all night bitching about AI and how much it's going to be, well, it's going to fuck up.
How much time you
But we shouldn't do it, right? Which is, it seems like those things are true. Like, come on, humanity, what are we doing here? This is a crazy idea. This is Frankenstein. That being said, in all practical terms, what do we do in our practical life? How does this connect to natural law? Those are the way I'd like to go with the couple.
Yeah. I'll start out by saying I think one of our goals is to have inner monarchy. Anarchy is the ruler is external, but you have inner monarchies, you know, like in the clergy, and how to understand, you know, manage yourself in your life. So starting with developing the self-knowledge, and learning about your psychology and how it works, and then doing that deep work, like exploration, shadow work,
Hey, I do that, by the way.
Oh.
I do that for me.
I don't think AI can do shadow work for you. I mean, certainly AI could give you questions that, I'm not saying that has to be all or nothing. There can be a lot of very jobs, questions, and knowledge. But the key is don't believe that they're here. You always have to ask questioning mind and continue the idea of using the trivial process of seeking information from every angle. As many sources as possible, including your left brain, your right brain, reading and listening and talking and thinking, putting yourself in different perspectives. So I think that coming back to the fact that we are the technology that is ultimately being harvested by AI.
I'm not gonna run it anymore because yeah, totally. It is what it is. I don't mind. People use that in ChatGPT for things. To really use it as a tool, even though a really good argument could be made that it's more than just a tool, and I do agree with that. That's where the Brandon Spencer from the One Grit with Warriors, but we ain't got time to get into that type of stuff. But yeah, it's beyond just a simple computer tool, whatever, right? So, but when human beings allow a computer to think for themselves, like, what are we doing? We're allowing gaps and holes to come through our that are widening the synapse gap or whatever that's in our cranium system.
Creating holes in the brain and having less of a skill sets.
Yeah. So what you're talking about is really keeping that balance of the left, right hemisphere, the triune brain and everything. And we talked about triggering it out.
Exercising the cortex, the thinking brain that makes us human, that makes us human, is our capacity to think and use our neocortex. We are operating out of our amygdala, our activates and spectrums, right? We are not using our cortex to our full capacity. So that's
wake up, Neil.
Yeah, that's where we can risk being lured into a trance, with this AI dance. Right?
Speaking of dance, being able to move your body or stand up and balance on one foot. If you don't practice that, you can lose that skill. Pretty soon you're not able to do it. So the way we go through these conversations and talk philosophy, I'm one of those people that thinks that the word philosophy is underrated. As I talked about that in the book, people think of philosophy as dusty shelves and old guys who meander on the thoughts that go nowhere.
Just ideas.
And in truth, it's your sword and your shield in this world of, if this was Dungeons and Dragons, that's your sword and your shield, or your ability to fight dragons. It's your ability to make your way in this world, is to come up with a philosophy that aligns enough with what you think and what you do to where you can operate in this world and get along with other people and that's a big part of the context of the situation. We are under this system of slavery. And it's not easy to be in this situation, especially when you recognize how terrible it is, and then to function in this situation. Same thing with AI. We can't just make it disappear. We can't just make government disappear. We have to live with the consequences of the choice of the whole group of people we're in, which is humanity. That choice is to really get deep in this experimentation with extreme forms of technology that literally can kind of have a mind of their own. But, there's still this spirit, there's still the spark of God and life that is within us that no computer or thing can have, right? I mean, isn't there a separation? Can it ever be really its own divine thing?
Without humans, it wouldn't exist.
Right?
It would lose its juice.
Exactly.
And I just want to clarify in terms of natural law, we're not just choosing what is right and wrong. We are understanding what the consequences of natural law is. We violate human rights. We violate our rights, and there are consequences. And that involves, I think, thinking ahead more than the immediate. things, right? We think ahead into the future generational impacts and multi-generational impacts. And that's where I think that our insights is being implemented. And I think that we have to seriously like slow down, and we need to look at patterns, and we need to keep compared to self-defense. That to be simply saying no and not participating in that, or finding ways to hold on to like intrinsic skills, like building, carpentry, community, growing food. Finding ways to detach and be less dependent on this machine, and not as dependent on moving to a machine because it has to change. So ultimately, it's all about developing the inner modesty, which is not being dependent, looking to an external source to give you the best way. We can really learn how to discover the truth that's right now through our interaction with our fuzzy nature. And I think that if we get too tangled into the AI, we think they're ruling, they have the answers. We're forgetting that we are the originators of truth in our harmony with nature, with Earth.
And, that's the good old fashioned wisdom of know thyself. We have to constantly remind ourselves of the importance of that. But also, I would say, other people that we talk to, listen to, commune with, consider their point of view, gives ours more credence. Like, in other words, if somebody spends all their time alone, you can do all the research in the world on the internet. If you're not interacting with other beings, each mind, each being is a connection to, I call it the divine crystal, connection to the God, the great all. And if you're ignoring the power of that, you're missing a big part of the picture. Reading books is great. Don't get me wrong. It's the minds, there was the divine connection to other people, but it's not the same as actually interacting with other beings and considering why they're saying what they're saying and when and how and the context of why, and putting that onto the soup of your own process of figuring out that philosophy that I'm saying is so important for self-defense in this world, to understand what's happening around you. Really, what's happening?
Right.
What on earth is happening?
Yeah, and also to feel in real time the synergy, of being in unity, consciousness with other people, right? Even just a simple idea of working together in unison to do a project, which during sitting and like working in our car,
Thanks, dear.
build a lot done. It's like looks so good.
Transformations.
This idea of, more than one, and you combine that energy in all of these ways.
It's like the Three of Pentacles.
Yeah.
In the tarot, Three of Pentacles. You have the picture of people like building a construction site.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Pentacles are very grounding, like earth-based things, material.
It's the 5, right? It's for direction for them. Yes, that's feminine principle. No, it's all good.
Christian, you have to say what we've been saying too, there.
Yeah, there was like a couple of tangents I wanted to run off, but just got careful with that a little bit. We are the true technology, and when really bring it back to ourselves and realize, this interface, the digital realm, and all that stuff, that's cool and convenient and all that. It can help us advance in a lot of ways, but it's also distracting us a little bit if we're caught up too much in that realm from our own selves, our own humanity, and people can easily lose touch with some of those human elements and stuff. Kind of like what I mentioned with the instant gratification factor. It's like when you interact with people, I think that's why people are so easily offended or whatever, because they can't just easily ignore or block someone online like they can on social media and stuff. They actually have to hear someone face to face, eye to eye with someone. So are they going to be a faker, or are they going to be authentic? Are they going to be the real authentic individual, the real AI, or be an artificial idiot? They're like,
to actually manage your nervous system in real time with the energetics of human contact, you know, where you have to actually have someone looking at you and you see yourself. You know, I mean, there's all different dynamics that happen as they grow us from being in person.
Like, one thing that's come to mind is setting boundaries. Like, that's been one of the more difficult things in my lifetime that I've had to learn to experience is like, in relationships with various people, you have to find that part of yourself that can set boundaries on what's okay with you and what's not, and what you're willing to do and what you're not. And that's a hard thing to learn in life, but to speak up for yourself if you're someone who's quiet, or if you're overbearing personality, to learn to throttle back. You know, and going through those processes takes trial and error.
In real life, you know, I was just studying it about real life, how it is through practice, basically, real life practice, facing the fear, facing something that is that it changes, that it rebirths, that it instills the whole nervous system changes. And so our ability to have it be balanced and within ourselves grows, our resilience grows. We have to, you know, kind of sharpen the sword very so practice. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, practice makes perfect, or, you know, close to it, you know, and like just like open communication and having that patience and all that stuff with whoever, especially if you're in a relationship, friendship and all that stuff. You know, like a lot of my friends, you know, they're all in the spectrum, not like autism or whatever, but, you know, the polarized divides of Y, right? And, you know, it's like, people are kind of conditioned to texting this and that, and like emojis and this and that. In real life, you can't emoji your way out of a conversation, right? Body language is one thing. And I think like people that are like so focused on like communication on their digital, they're not really awkward. Like, they're not hitting the social cues, and that kind of stuff. So like they're kind of awkward and relaxed. So all of a sudden you have like all these symptoms of, you know, health issues and gender dysphoria, or whatever the fuck that you feed us through these, you know, programmed narratives and shit. So,
I was thinking earlier today about the skull vibration and the energetics. The energetic.
It's a presence song, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. But there's an energetic mastery here. We talk about emotions and the ability to navigate social stressors and stuff, and solve problems. And that when you don't look to this external, you know, thing to solve your problem, and you have to figure things out in real time with people. There's not knowledge, having knowledge of energetic principles and sound principles our tool, it's our power. That's pretty much being withheld from us. That was one of the things I realized when my sound presentation, my music presentation, was there's all this knowledge, this really profound and important to understanding ourselves in our power and how we can dance without reality in the world. But we are being held ignorant of it. Yes. And totally limited, and it's applauded, and it's not considered real medicine. And I think that's on purpose, because all of humanity really understood that. Really powerful.
Yeah, they could do it themselves. They could read the room better. You know, honestly.
As you were speaking too, I was hearing the wind speaking up. Speaking of vibration and sound, and
Mother Nature's confirmation again, my friend.
Mother Nature's confirmation exclamation, because part of the reason we're sitting out here is like, you know, we created this spot to be, and I like to hang out outside as much as I can. And I would say, as part of the takeaway of this talk, or something someone listening might want to consider, we're suggesting, more time having actual discussions with real people whenever possible. Soul nourishing, and helps you just on your own discernment when you learn the context of what other people think on various things. The more you do that, the more exercise you get. Like I was saying, you learn to be more balanced in your thinking. But by spending more time outdoors and the vibration of sound of wind or nature, that's going to bring you closer to the divine and the feelings of your body needs.
Yeah.
A place of peace and be able to accept truth and be able to work through,
Right. Well said, thanks. Yeah, well said, friends. I think that's a good place to.
We got to go to a funnel conference right now.
And we're going to go have a meeting time. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Yeah, we pulled it off. We're just like put a camera in front of us and get us talking.
I think that was good. You got some great points and all that shit. Chris, you see, brother? Oh, shit, this is still recording? What's cracking? Oh, look at this guy. No, I was kidding. Oh, shit. We're all busted.
I got wine, you got beer, you got.
Cheers.